Node number 9. I asked Ashanti, how do I get to fold the paper representing the universal node over to bring the two circles together, the circles representing me and my future self? Ashanti made me do a drawing on paper to explain this concept. Turns out I don't have to fold the paper over. It is already folded over. Ashanti explained, as you can see in the drawing, the universal node is continuously folded over onto itself in a S-shaped structure. Using the analogy of a piece of paper again, I want you to imagine an infinitely large sheet of graph paper. Imagine that the sheet of paper is bent into a continuous S shape as in the drawing shown. This S-shaped paper goes down vertically into infinity and upwards into infinity. The graph paper is not just a flat sheet of graph paper, but it is actually a three-dimensional sheet of paper. To make it easier to understand, imagine it as a flat sheet for a moment. Point A in the drawing represents your awareness point. Point F on the drawing represents your future self not yet realized. In the drawing you can see everything to the left of point A lies in your future. Everything to the right of point A lies in your past. Your awareness point A is a stationary point above the paper. The paper is moving from left to right underneath your awareness continuously, from the future into the past. You can picture it as you, your awareness, standing on a bridge with a river, the continuous moving paper, flowing beneath you from the future into the past. The point where you are standing on top of the bridge is your eternal now. Everything further to the left of point A is virtual, unrealized potential. Everything to the right of point A is also virtual, potential that was realized when it passed through point A, which is your eternal now, the only reality. Your future self is always moving towards you, point A, progressively in steps over time. The continuous moving paper is bringing your future towards you every single moment. Your future self lies a fair distance away into your future in the drawing. There is a way to shorten this distance between yourself and your future self. You use the technique of supermatrix funneling as shown in the drawing. The funnel creates a wormhole for your awareness to move through and connect directly with your future self. Thus you cut out the long progression of steps needed for your future self, point F, to reach point A over time in the normal progression of things. You will also notice in the drawing that everything in the future lies on a higher levels of consciousness. The further you go into the future, higher levels of consciousness will be required. Everything below point A is consciousness levels that has already been realized in the past. Each curve of the S shape brings new levels of consciousness into being. People with higher levels of consciousness, like for instance an Albert Einstein, is a person whose awareness point was further up the S-shaped ladder of the universal node. His awareness point was many levels of consciousness further up into the future than most people of his time. Great artists, musicians, writers, and scientists were all individuals that were further up in their awareness on the ladder of the universal consciousness. With the technique of supermatrix funneling, you can move up in levels of consciousness without having to wait for the slow, progressive revelation of the future. You can form a funnel or a wormhole through the levels and gain instant access to the future. There is a price to pay, however. Your body and mind must be clear and in a healthy condition before attempting this exercise of super matrix funneling. You could only do this exercise as a true reader, which will be explained further on in the book. With super matrix funneling, you will in a moment of time be swept up into the future suddenly. It could literally blow your mind, as they say. Attempting this exercise prematurely can cause damage. This exercise will only be explained after you've gained more knowledge of what it is to become a true reader.